Welcome if you're a new subscriber, and take a moment to subscribe to stay connected and inspired. You can see that I'm drawing straight onto my silicone mat today for this resin art sculpture that's been inspired by Sue Finlay. The texture comes off really quickly with just a baby wipe or a spray of alcohol. So don't worry about staining your silicone mat. It does remove straight away. I didn't end up using the design that I put down and went straight into mixing up my crushed glass with resin, and I made what I like to call a resin dough. Mix, 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 making sure all of those bits of glass are covered with a bit of resin so that I can knead it with my hands when I apply it down onto the silicone mat. And off I go, and you see straight away that I'm moving into that fingernail moon that I love so much and always have done. Hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon. Keeping on mixing up more and more. And in total, I used quite a lot of glass. It's a heavy sculpture. And the moon shape itself is really quite substantial in size and weight, which you'll see as we progress in the video. I'm building up, building up, building up higher, and really getting so into the process, which is for me what it's all about. Oh, I've got my concept happening. I decided to make some little dangly jewel bits, and here I am, shaping them with my hands, making the first one bigger, the second one middle-sized, and the last one little, a bit like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So I keep using all of my glass, and I mix more and more up and add more resin as I go, just to build on this sculpture. And now I'm adding my texture because I just realized at this point I haven't got a pole. What am I doing? So I thought spontaneously, I'll add my texture in. It's plastic. It will come away easily and effortlessly out of the sculpture for me to put a pole in later. So I'm quite happy and chuffed with myself as I continue to build up the resin. The crushed glass I'm using is a combination of a coloured sort of amberish crushed glass and mirrored crushed glass. And by using the two types of crushed glass, I got a really interesting texture and visuals. The close-up shows you that the two glasses together add a lot more dimension. So I'm continuing on using my craft stick to pull all those little bits of glass that have strayed out of the resin dough mixture into the line, and I'm feeling pretty happy and into the process. And I'm now building onto the moon sculpture with a mixture of only crushed mirrored glass, and I did that because I wanted to have some different effects showing up through the sculpture itself. So the first layer being the coloured glass and mirrored glass, and now this second part being mirrored glass only, and it added extra reflection, and I really liked the way it looked. So back on to building up my little flowing jewels that are going to hang, and I'm feeling quite happy with everything. And I've gone off to get some more craft sticks because the stickier they got, the less effective they were with having to guide and push the textured glass that was mixed in with the resin around. But see how easily it is just to pull it across the silicone mat and push it into the sculpture area, and it really just helped have a really nice defined line in the end. And now using those sticks on the hanging pieces to really help them get some height, depth and shape, and I fiddle fart with them quite a bit until I'm happy with the shape. And I think I'm just about at the end of this process, using up the last bits of the pre-mixed. I like to call it glass resin dough now, I've decided after chatting to you for a bit. We'll call it glass resin dough. How to use glass resin dough to create a resin art creation sculpture. Drizzling my last bit of mixed resin over and into the sculpture to allow adhesion and to help it be strengthened. In future, I think I would make this a lot wetter and worry about the seepage. It was a great fun project and I learnt so much. During that time, I'd worked out how I was going to hang these little drop jewels, and what I got was some jewellery findings, and I'm planning on attaching these up into the jewelled areas so that I could attach chain and allow it to hang. And so in a moment you'll see me, once my arm gets out of the way, you'll see, I know it's really difficult to see, but you can see that I'm just adding the findings into the sculptured areas. I'll move arm, come on, honestly. How is everyone meant to see how I'm doing it if you're in the way? Oh, good, thanks, Maggie. So I'm pushing them in, making sure that they're really well connected into that sculpture and also got resin onto them so that they're connected solidly. And that's how I plan to hang everything. Good idea, huh? Of course, I couldn't stop fiddling again. You know, it's almost like once I start fiddling, I see these invisible parts that I want to keep working, and it's so much fun. But geez, I can just go on and on and on. And here I go on and on and on, doing little things that are probably only particular to my eye, adjusting the bend, seeing where I like certain coloured glass and pushing it over, flipping certain little bits of glass over so that I can see that they'll catch the light more efficiently. And so I'm doing that kind of detail now. And I decide now to add some Starlight Violet Special Effects pigment, and I wanted to do this to help even more light reflect, to make this be a twinkle twinkle little moon. And so I'm sprinkling it over much like you would with icing sugar on the top of a cake. Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. And when we come in for the close-up, you can see how it really does add a dimension of not just colour but effect, and it gives some extra depth and texture, making this look all the more interesting. And within myself, I'm knowing that when this has light coming in onto it, it's just going to be shimmery, shimmery. And now we're back on to mixing it up. I get my A1 Pigments Violet Diamond Effect out, and this time I'm mixing it into the resin dough. And I think at this point I'm just pushing my luck with experimentation and wanting to see what the difference is between the sprinkled effect on the other side. Oh, by the way, we flipped our sculpture, and now we're building up on the back side. So about 3 days have passed since I had an opportunity to get back to it. And so I'm going full speed ahead, ×6, I think this footage is, just building up all of those areas so that my sculpture isn't flat on one side and has a nice complete raised effect. So no matter what side we're looking at the sculpture when it's in its standing position, we have awesome light reflection from the glass, the pigments, the A1 special effects, and the mirrored crushed glass. And just mixing that up a little bit more. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. Oh, look, I decided that I wanted to build right up around their peak of the crescent with a lot more definition. Pulled it off and just flipped it over and found some bits of resin that were heavier and come through. They just pull off like that. This one's not going to. I'm going to need something just to get my finger on there, but it will flick off because it's still, only 1 day in. The next problem we've got is I've, oh, see that? It's my texture for my pole. The lid's come off, so I've got really not much place to grip to wiggle this out like a tooth. So as we know, it's plastic, so it's not going to stay in there. It just needs to have the wiggle release from the resin and then pulled out. The nice little hanging part's looking terrific, and she's looking gorgeous. She's quite heavy. Oh, I can't even show you the sizing of it. Oh, look how far away from myself I have to hold her. So she's really super duper beautiful. And so the next couple of days is about constructing it. I'm going to get a silver rod here. I nearly pinched the rod off this because I thought, how cool is that? But that's just being ridiculous. But we'll be getting a rod, and then with the base, somehow I want to work out how to make a candle sit in it so that it can sparkle up onto all of this gloriousnesses. And these little hanging bits have come out beautifully, and so they're going to all hang down like that. So these ones have the double-ended, but medium, small, big. A little bit of chain, little bit of chain, little bit of chain, and that will provide movement. And when we move that away from the grit of the board, like it looks, get into focus, looks quite gorgeous. And when it's got light on it, it looks even better. I'm just going to turn the video off for a minute and see if I can put my torch on at the same time as record, and that will even sparkle it up more. Let's see how that didn't stay on. Well, it's only 8:30 in the morning. There's no sun out yet, but as soon as there's sun out, I'll bring her outside into the sunshine and show you her in her sparkle glory, and then we'll get on to building this next part, the stand, which is going to have to be quite substantial. I was just talking to my partner. I'm even thinking about abandoning this and putting a hook in and letting it be a hanging sculpture. I think it's really so pretty, and with this movement could look really quite gorgeous near a hanging light. And then maybe trying to work out a way to, trying to work out a way here to mount a candle on the actual sculpture. so that when it's hanging, it's offering that. Oh, hi, my creative friends. It's been about 2 weeks. How terrible is that? I'm so sorry that I have taken so long to finish off this project. So where are we up to? I have to tell you that I've tried to remove this without this being on. So that was my first problem. And of course, the lid came off. So I've got my tools, and for the first time ever, I feel like I'm a dentist. And I did manage to wobble that out, but I wanted to show you what I've had to do in order to build this. I got this stand, which was originally a lamp stand. You can see where I've taken out the electricals and dismounted it from here. And I'm really hopeful it's just going to be an easy slide on. So let's try. And if it's not, let's troubleshoot together. Oh no, it's not going to be, look. Look. All right, well, let's have a concept look. Oh my God, it's actually not too bad. I reckon I could screw that in. Oh, wow. Concept look. So cool. So what I'm going to do now is go and get my chains. And can you see that from where you are? No, you can't. So let's pull you back. Oh, up to the top. There you go. Oh, let's get you a broader picture. All right, you can see that. So remember these, making these. I'm going to get my chain now and do the magical hanging from that finding. Is that where it is? Yep, there. And hang this down, and this down. And then let's have a look at the finished product. So you have no idea how much my heart broke when this blew over in the wind and dropped and fell. And it cracked in half. Not cracked, it broke in half. And it's because I hadn't, it broke right at the point where the texture was in. See there? So it was a weak, vulnerable area. And I'm really going to put this project to bed now for about a month. So I'm going to post up what I've done so far and just give you a little idea of what my next concept is. I can resin this back together, but I don't want to. I want to go with what's happened. And I'm thinking of maybe getting a wooden block and making a sculpture that looks like this and still using these to hang down here. Yesterday when this happened, I was so freaking sad. So you can see the findings that we all set up earlier, and I've even got my little bits out to put it all together, but I'm over it and need to put it away for a month or so, and that's where I'm up to. So let's see if I get back to this in a month or so. If not, that's okay. I just want to let you know the takeaway message for this is it was a great concept. It's really at a point with me that it's a mental issue. I don't want to spend any more time on it. It's frustrating me, and I need to put it away so that I can move on to another project that I'm going to get re-enjoyment with and get back into the creative juices and come back to this with fresh eyes. And let's see how that goes. Takeaway message: sometimes things don't go as planned, and that's okay. Move on. Don't agonize. Put it away for a little while and then come back and revisit it later. Stay well, my creative friends. Where's a nice, shiny, sparkly place to finish on?